Captain Jake Morrison stood quietly on the bridge of his ship. The ship was called Endeavor. He looked out through the big window into space. Everything seemed peaceful. His crew worked at their stations. They checked numbers and watched screens. Nobody expected what was about to happen. Suddenly, bright lights appeared in the darkness. 7 huge ships came out of nowhere. They were much bigger than the Endeavor. The ships looked like they were made of crystal or ice. They sparkled in the light from distant stars. Jake felt his heart beat faster. These were alien ships. Real aliens. Commander Lisa Harper worked at the weapons station. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls. She looked at her screen and her face went pale. The alien ships had locked their weapons on the Endeavor. All of them. 67 different weapons were pointed at Jake's ship. Lisa reported this to the captain. Her voice stayed calm, but everyone could feel the danger. Lieutenant Kevin Barnes sat at the communication station. A light started blinking on his panel. The aliens were calling them. Kevin looked at Jake and nodded. Jake took a deep breath. He was about to talk to aliens for the first time in human history. He hoped they were friendly, but the weapons pointed at his ship made him doubt it. The screen turned on. An alien face appeared. It was beautiful but cold. The alien had smooth skin that seemed to shine. Its eyes were large and looked down at the humans with something like disgust. This was Ambassador Zethrix. He led the alien fleet. He spoke in a voice that sounded like music and thunder at the same time. The alien called humans primitive. He said they came from a planet called Sol 3. Jake knew that meant Earth. Zethrix told them they had broken galactic law. He said humans were not allowed to leave their star system. The Endeavor had crossed into space that belonged to other species. Zethrix demanded that Jake surrender his ship immediately. He said the humans would be processed. He did not explain what that meant. It sounded bad. Jake stood up from his captain's chair. He introduced himself and his ship. He explained that they were explorers. They came in peace. They did not know about any law or any forbidden zone. Nobody had ever told humans about these rules. Jake offered to talk about this problem. He wanted to solve things without fighting. Zethrix laughed. It was not a kind laugh. He said humans were confused. He told them that diplomacy was not for primitive species. The aliens would take the ship and the crew. If humans fought back, the aliens would destroy them. Then Zethrix ended the call. The screen went black. Jake looked around at his crew. They were 300 light-years from Earth. They were alone. 7 alien warships surrounded them. Each alien ship was 5 times bigger than the Endeavor. Jake had to make a decision. Should they surrender? Should they try to run? Should they fight? Lisa spoke first. She had studied the alien ships carefully. Their shields were very advanced, but they seemed designed to stop energy weapons like lasers. The Endeavor had different weapons. It had railguns. These weapons shot solid metal at very high speed. Lisa thought the railguns might work against the alien shields, but they were still outnumbered 7-1. The odds were bad. Jake called down to engineering. Chief Engineer Gregory Price answered. Jake asked about their special engine. It was called a quantum drive. It let them jump through space very quickly. Gregory said the drive was ready. They could jump away, but it would take 3 minutes to calculate where to go safely. 3 minutes was a long time in a fight. Jake made his choice. He would not surrender his ship to bullies. He ordered his crew to prepare for battle. Lisa would target the alien weapons. Kevin would send a message back to Earth. Everything they learned about these aliens would go in that message. Earth needed to know what was out here in the galaxy. The first alien weapon hit their shields. The ship shook. Lights flickered. The aliens had fired without any more warning. They wanted to capture the humans, but they were willing to hurt them first. Jake gripped his chair. This was it. Humanity's first contact with aliens, and it was a fight. Lisa fired the railguns. Chunks of tungsten metal flew through space faster than bullets. Much faster. They hit the lead alien ship hard. The alien shields did nothing to stop them. The solid metal punched through like the shields were not even there. Explosions bloomed on the alien ship's surface. Their weapons exploded. Air leaked out into space. Zethrix appeared on screen again. He looked shocked and angry. His perfect face now had cracks in it. He could not believe what happened. How could primitive humans hurt his advanced ship? He screamed at them. He called them savages. He promised they would all die for this insult. Jake stared back at the alien ambassador. His voice was cold and hard. He told Zethryx that humans were primitives who just beat him in a fight. He said humanity would never kneel to anyone. Not to Zethryx. Not to his council. Not to anyone in the galaxy. Humans would rather die free than live as slaves. The quantum drive started to hum. Energy built up around the ship. Space started to twist and bend. Kevin finished sending the message to Earth. It would take months to arrive, but it would get there. Earth would know about the aliens. Earth would know about the danger. The other alien ships started to move toward them. They wanted revenge for their damaged ship, but they were too slow. The Endeavor vanished in a flash of light. It jumped through space to a safe location far away. The aliens were left behind with their damaged ship and their wounded pride. Inside the Endeavor, the crew breathed easier. They had survived. They had fought aliens and won. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would come looking for them. They would come looking for Earth. The galaxy was not a friendly place. Humans had just learned that the hard way. Jake sat back in his chair. His hands were shaking a little. He had just started a war with an alien empire. He had no choice. But he wondered what would happen now. Would Earth be ready when the aliens came? Would humanity survive its first contact with the galaxy? Lisa checked their route. They were heading toward empty space. They needed to hide while they repaired the damage from the fight. The shields had taken hits. Some systems were damaged, but they were alive. The crew had done well. They had proven that humans could fight back. Kevin played back the recording of the fight. He wanted to study it. Every detail about the aliens was important now. How they moved, how they fought, what their weaknesses were. This information could save Earth someday, maybe someday soon. Gregory came up from engineering. He looked tired but satisfied. The quantum drive had worked perfectly. The railguns had performed better than expected. He told Jake that humanity's weapons were good. They might be old compared to alien technology, but sometimes old weapons worked better than fancy new ones. The aliens had forgotten that simple things could be deadly. Jake called a meeting with his senior officers. They needed to plan their next move. Should they go back to Earth immediately? Should they try to learn more about the aliens first? Should they look for allies in the galaxy? So many questions and no easy answers. The crew decided to gather more information before going home. They would scout carefully. They would learn about this galactic council that thought it ruled the stars. They would find out who these aliens were and what they wanted. Knowledge was power. Earth needed every advantage it could get. Far away, on the alien flagship, Zethryx stood alone in his command room. His ship was damaged. His pride was hurt. He had never been beaten before. No primitive species had ever dared to fight back. He thought about the humans and their defiance. They were dangerous. They needed to be eliminated. He would make sure the council understood this. Humanity had to be destroyed before they became a real threat. The message from Captain Jake Morrison reached Earth 6 weeks later. It traveled through space at the speed of light. When it arrived, everything changed. World leaders gathered in a secret location deep underground. They watched the recording of the alien encounter over and over. They saw the threats. They saw the battle. They understood that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Admiral Patrick Cole commanded all of Earth's space forces. He was a tough man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He stood before the world leaders and told them the truth. The aliens would come. They would bring war. Earth had maybe 6 months to prepare. Maybe less. Every day counted now. Secretary General Maria Santos led the United Earth government. She was a small woman, but nobody doubted her strength. She listened to Admiral Cole's report. Then she asked the important question. How long before the aliens found Earth? How long before they attacked? Admiral Cole pulled up star maps on the big screens. The Endeavor had been 300 light-years from Earth. The aliens would need time to find Earth's location. They would need to search many star systems. But they had technology humans did not understand. They might find Earth quickly, or they might take months. Nobody knew for sure. Cole guessed 3 to 6 months. That was his best estimate. Dr. Helen Wright worked at the Weapons Research Center. She was one of Earth's smartest scientists. She studied the battle recording carefully. She noticed something important. The alien shields stopped energy weapons easily. Lasers and plasma would not work well against them. But the railguns had cut through their shields like paper. The aliens had never seen kinetic weapons used in space combat. That was humanity's advantage. She explained her idea to the council. The Endeavour had 20 railguns. What if they built ships with 200 railguns? What if they filled space with metal projectiles moving at incredible speed? The aliens would not be ready for that. Their shields would be useless. Their superior technology would not save them. General Raymond Tucker led the ground forces. He was a practical man who understood war. He agreed with Dr. Wright, but he also pointed out a problem. Building new warships would cost enormous amounts of money. It would take resources from every nation on Earth. Could they afford it? Secretary General Santos stood up. Her voice was firm and clear. The cost of building a fleet was high, but the cost of doing nothing was extinction. Every human on Earth would die if the aliens won. Money meant nothing if there was no future. She gave her orders. Every factory would help. Every scientist would work on the problem. Every nation would contribute. Earth would build the biggest fleet in its history. And they would do it in 6 months. Admiral Cole received unlimited authority. He could use any resources he needed. He could hire anyone. He could build anything. The entire planet was now focused on one goal: survival. Earth began to change that very day. Factories that made cars started making spaceship parts instead. Factories that made computers started making weapon systems. Scientists stopped their normal research and worked on military projects. Everyone understood the danger. The aliens had called humans primitive. Earth would show them what primitives could do when they were desperate. In orbit around Earth, huge construction platforms appeared. They were bigger than anything humans had built before. Robots and workers in spacesuits assembled the first new warship. It was massive, almost a mile long. It had hundreds of railguns pointing in every direction. The ship was ugly and practical. It was built for one purpose only: to kill alien invaders. They called these ships the Guardian class. Each one took 6 weeks to build. Earth's orbital factories worked day and night. They built 6 ships at once, then 12, then 18. The construction never stopped. Welding sparks lit up the darkness of space. Metal and weapons and engines came together piece by piece. Jake Morrison came home a hero. The government promoted him to Commodore. They put him in charge of training new crews. Young men and women volunteered by the thousands. They wanted to defend Earth. They wanted to prove that humans were not weak. Jake taught them everything he learned from fighting the aliens. He made sure every crew knew how to aim, how to move, how to survive. Engineers built something new: combat drones, small spacecraft that could be controlled from Earth. Pilots sat in safe bunkers and flew the drones through space. Each drone carried weapons. They could swarm enemy ships like angry bees. The aliens would not expect this either. Humans were full of surprises. Dr. Samuel Green was a physics professor. He studied the data from the Endeavour carefully. He noticed something about the Galactic Council. They had a central station, a huge space station where their government met. It was the heart of their civilization. Sam had a crazy idea. What if Earth attacked that station directly? What if they did not wait for the aliens to come to Earth? He presented his idea at a military meeting. Admiral Cole listened carefully. It was a risky plan. Very risky. But it might work. If they could destroy the alien leadership, maybe the rest of their empire would fall apart. Or at least stop attacking Earth. It was worth considering. Jake Morrison liked the idea. He suggested sending scout ships first. Small ships with good stealth technology. They could sneak into alien territory. They could map the alien empire, find the weak spots, learn where the important targets were. Then when the aliens came to attack Earth, humans could hit back where it really hurt. The plan was approved. Earth would not sit and wait. They would be aggressive. They would be smart. They would use the element of surprise. A dozen scout ships left Earth quietly. They jumped through space toward alien territory. Their mission was simple: learn everything. Report back. Stay alive. Meanwhile, the construction continued. 37 Guardian warships were completed. Each one was tested. Each one was armed to the teeth. Each one was ready to fight. But they also built something else: defense platforms, huge weapon stations hidden in asteroid belts. They filled the solar system with hidden guns. If aliens came to Earth, they would walk into a trap. Admiral Cole stood on the bridge of his flagship. It was called the Valiant. Through the windows, he could see the other warships in formation. They floated in perfect rows. Each one represented months of work. billions of dollars, thousands of workers, and the hope that humanity could survive. His tactical officer gave him an update. All ships were ready. All weapons were loaded. All crews were trained. The drone swarms were deployed in hiding spots throughout the solar system. The asteroid defense platforms were online and waiting. Earth was as ready as it could be. Admiral Cole nodded slowly. 6 months had passed since the first contact. 6 months of building, 6 months of preparing. Now they would see if it was enough. He spoke to his crew. His voice was broadcast to every human in the solar system. He told them that the aliens thought humans were weak. The aliens thought Earth would be easy to conquer. But humans had never been easy prey. Humans were survivors. Humans were fighters. And if the aliens wanted war, humans would give them more war than they could handle. People on Earth listened to his speech. They looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there an alien fleet was coming. But Earth was not defenseless anymore. They had ships. They had weapons. They had brave crews willing to fight. Whatever happened next, humanity would face it standing tall. In the final days of preparation, families said goodbye to their loved ones. Pilots hugged their children. Engineers checked their work one last time. Soldiers cleaned their equipment. Everyone knew the battle was coming soon. The scouts had sent back information. The alien fleet was on its way, over 100 warships, all heading toward Earth. The final confrontation was about to begin. Jake Morrison walked through the corridors of his ship. He saw young faces everywhere, kids who had been in school 6 months ago. Now they wore uniforms. Now they manned weapon stations. Now they were soldiers. He felt proud of them. He felt responsible for them. He hoped his training was enough. He hoped they would survive what was coming. The waiting was hard. Everyone was tense. Everyone jumped at small noises. The sensors watched the edge of the solar system constantly. Any moment now the aliens would arrive. Any moment now the battle would start. Earth held its breath and waited for war to come home. They came without warning. The alien fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system like ghosts becoming real, 112 massive warships. Their crystal hulls reflected the distant sunlight. They arranged themselves in attack formation. They had come to punish Earth for daring to fight back. On the bridge of the Valiant, alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. The crew had trained for this moment, but the reality was still frightening. Admiral Patrick Cole stood calmly in the center of the bridge. His voice was steady and clear. He ordered all ships to their battle positions. He told the drone swarms to attack. It was time to show the aliens what Earth had built. The alien fleet moved slowly forward. They were confident. They had more ships. They had better technology. They expected to win easily. Ambassador Zethrix commanded the invasion from his rebuilt flagship. He smiled as he looked at Earth on his screens. This primitive planet would learn respect today. Or it would burn. Then the first wave hit them. 10,000 combat drones swarmed out of hiding. They came from asteroids. They came from empty space. They came from everywhere at once. Each drone was small and fast. They moved in random patterns. The alien computers could not track them all. The aliens started firing, but they could not hit the tiny targets. Zethrix watched his screens in confusion. What were these small objects? Why were there so many? His weapons officers struggled to target the drones. Every time they locked onto one drone, 5 more appeared. The small craft buzzed around the alien ships like insects. They were annoying and distracting. But the drones were not meant to destroy the alien ships. They were meant to confuse them, to overwhelm their sensors, to make them focus on the wrong threat. While the aliens tried to swat the drones, the real attack moved into position. Jake Morrison commanded a group of Guardian warships. His ship was called the Defiant. He watched his tactical screen carefully. The alien fleet was bunching together. They were trying to create overlapping defensive fire to stop the drones. That was exactly what Jake had hoped for. Bunched together, they made perfect targets. Jake gave the order. All Guardian ships revealed themselves. They had approached from multiple directions. They had used the sun's radiation to hide their heat signatures. Now they were at perfect range. Now they opened fire. Thousands of railgun rounds flew through space. Tungsten slugs accelerated to incredible speeds. They moved so fast that nothing could stop them. The alien shields flickered and failed. The shields were designed for energy weapons. Solid metal just punched straight through. Alien hulls shattered. Reactors exploded. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries died in seconds. Zethric stared at his displays. 18 ships destroyed. Just like that. In the first 30 seconds of battle. Impossible. These humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to surrender. How did they have such powerful weapons? How did they fight so well? Admiral Cole's voice came through on the communication channel. His face appeared on Zethrix's screen. The human admiral looked calm and dangerous. He told Zethrix that humans had been using kinetic weapons for centuries. They just never needed to use them in space before. Until now. Until the aliens gave them a reason, then the asteroid defense platforms activated. All across the solar system, hidden weapons came online. Asteroids that looked natural suddenly opened up. Missile tubes emerged. Railgun batteries extended. Earth had turned dozens of space rocks into floating fortresses. Now those fortresses opened fire. The alien fleet found itself trapped. Enemy fire came from every direction. The humans had planned this perfectly. Every angle was covered. There was nowhere safe to go. The aliens tried to fight back, but their weapons were designed for long-range energy combat. The humans fought at closer range with metal and explosives. Jake led his ships in a flanking attack. His Guardian warships hammered the left side of the alien formation. Each railgun barrage tore huge holes in alien ships. The aliens tried to turn and face him, but that exposed them to Admiral Cole's ships. The humans worked together perfectly. They had practiced these tactics for months. Commander Lisa Harper controlled the defense of Earth itself. She coordinated the asteroid platforms. She made sure their fire overlapped. She created killing zones that no alien ship could cross safely. Every time the aliens tried to advance toward Earth, they flew into concentrated fire. Ships exploded. Debris scattered. The alien fleet was being torn apart. The battle continued for 12 hours. 12 hours of constant fighting. Ships maneuvered and fired. Weapons lit up the darkness. Explosions marked the death of warships. The humans fought with cold efficiency. They did not waste ammunition. They did not make mistakes. They had trained for this. They were ready. The aliens, on the other hand, were not ready. They had conquered many worlds. But those worlds had surrendered quickly. The aliens had forgotten how to fight a real war. They had forgotten what it was like to face an enemy that refused to give up. They had forgotten that some species would rather die than submit. By the end of the battle, 87 alien ships were destroyed. 20 more were badly damaged. Only 5 ships remained in good condition. One of those was Zethrix's flagship. It limped away from Earth. Its shields were almost gone. Its weapons were half destroyed. The proud alien ambassador was defeated. Zethric sent one last message to Earth. His face on the screen was cracked and bleeding. His voice was weak. He told the humans that they had doomed themselves. The Galactic Council would not forgive this. They would send more ships, bigger ships, better ships. Earth could not win against the entire galaxy. Admiral Cole looked at the broken alien ambassador. His response was simple and brutal. He told Zethrix to tell his council to bring everything they had. Earth would be waiting, and when they came, they would learn the same lesson. Humans did not fight for conquest. They fought for survival. And humans were very good at surviving. The alien ships jumped to hyperspace and fled. They left behind debris and bodies. The solar system was littered with the wreckage of their fleet. Earth had won. The first interstellar war was over. But everyone knew more would come. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. They had survived. The aliens had been beaten. But the celebrations were careful. Nobody forgot that this was just one battle. The war was not over. More aliens would come. Earth needed to stay ready. In orbit, repair crews started working immediately. Damaged ships were fixed. New ships were built. The construction never stopped. Earth had learned an important lesson. You could not prepare too much. You could never have too many weapons. The galaxy was dangerous. Only the strong survived. Secretary General Maria Santos addressed the world that evening. Her speech was broadcast everywhere. She told people that they should be proud. Earth had defended itself against superior numbers, against advanced technology, against an empire that had conquered many worlds. And Earth had won, but she also warned them. The victory came with a price. Earth was now an enemy of the Galactic Council. They could never go back to the way things were. They could never pretend to be alone in the universe. From now on, humanity would need to be strong. They would need to be smart. They would need to be ready for anything. She promised that Earth would not become like the aliens. Humans would not conquer others. They would not force weaker species to obey, but they would defend themselves. They would protect their freedom. They would never surrender to bullies. That was humanity's promise to itself and to the galaxy. Admiral Cole stood on his bridge and looked at Earth. The blue planet floated peacefully in space. It looked small and fragile, but he knew better. Earth was not fragile. Earth was home to 8 billion humans, and those humans had just proven that they could fight, that they could win, that they belonged among the stars. Jake Morrison sat in his quarters after the battle. He was tired. His hands still shook from the adrenaline. He had fought well. His crew had performed perfectly, but he kept thinking about all the people who died. Human and alien both. War was terrible. Even when you won, you lost something. He hoped the galaxy would learn from this. He hoped the aliens would understand that humans wanted peace, but he knew they probably would not. Pride was a powerful thing. The aliens had been humiliated. They would want revenge. More battles would come. More people would die. But at least now Earth had a chance. That was all anyone could ask for. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council floated in the void between stars. It was ancient and beautiful. For 3,000 years it had been the center of power for 17 different alien civilizations. Today the hall shook with anger and fear. The council members were furious about what happened at Earth. Ambassador Zethric stood before the assembled leaders. His once perfect appearance was now scarred from the battle. He spoke through a translation device that let all species understand him. His voice carried shame and rage. He told them about the human weapons, about the 87 ships destroyed, about the humiliation of defeat. The council listened in shocked silence. High Chancellor Vexmora led the council. She was a being of pure energy contained in a crystal body. She pulsed with agitation. This was impossible. The humans were supposed to be primitive. They had barely left their homeworld. How could they destroy a council fleet? How could they have such powerful weapons? Admiral Kresh was a member of the reptilian Draknari Empire. He had fought in many wars across the galaxy. He listened to Zethrix's report and understood something important. The humans were natural warriors. They understood violence in ways the council had forgotten. They built weapons that were simple but deadly. They used tactics that were brutal but effective. Scholar Lynthia belonged to a peaceful species called the Collective. She had delicate features and kind eyes. She spoke directly into the minds of the other council members. She suggested that maybe the council should try to talk to the humans. The humans had defended themselves against an attack. They had not chased the fleeing ships. Maybe they wanted peace. Zethrix became angry at this suggestion. Negotiate with primitives? The council did not negotiate with inferior species. The council made rules and others followed those rules. If the humans would not obey, they must be destroyed. That was how the galaxy worked. That was how it had always worked. High Arbiter Tfal was the oldest member of the council. He had lived for thousands of years. He had seen many civilizations rise and fall. He spoke in a voice that was quiet but powerful. He reminded everyone that the council had attacked explorers without warning. The humans had not known about the quarantine laws. They could not follow rules they did not know existed. The council had made a mistake. The hall erupted in argument. Different species shouted at each other. Some wanted to send an even bigger fleet to Earth. They wanted revenge. They wanted to show the galaxy that the council was still strong. Others urged caution. Earth's solar system was now heavily defended. Any attack would cost many ships and many lives. High Chancellor Vexmora finally pulsed with authority. Her light filled the chamber and everyone fell silent. She announced her decision. The council would send scout ships to observe Earth. They needed to understand human capabilities fully. Scholar Lynthia would prepare diplomatic protocols. If the humans could be reasoned with, the council would try. But if diplomacy failed, the council would prepare for total war. What the council did not know was that humans had already taken action. 2 weeks after the battle, a small human ship appeared near the council station. It was unarmed. It broadcast peaceful messages on all frequencies. The council was surprised and curious. They decided to allow the ship to approach. Ambassador Claire Roberts led the human delegation. She was an experienced diplomat who had solved many conflicts on Earth. With her came General Raymond Tucker. He wore his military uniform as a reminder that humans could offer both conversation and combat. Together they entered the Grand Assembly Hall. The aliens stared at the humans. Some looked curious. Some looked frightened. Some looked hostile. Claire met their eyes without fear. She had prepared for this moment. She knew what she needed to say. She began by addressing them respectfully. She called them honored members of the council. But she also spoke firmly. She explained that humans had not come as conquerors. They had come seeking mutual understanding. The alien fleet had attacked human explorers without warning. Without any attempt at communication, humans had only defended themselves. That was not aggression. That was survival. Zethryx could not contain himself. He shouted that the humans had violated the quarantine. They had no right to be in that part of space. The laws were clear. Claire responded calmly. She pointed out that humans had no knowledge of any quarantine. The council had never contacted Earth. They had never explained their laws. You cannot punish someone for breaking rules they never knew existed. High Arbiter Tval leaned forward in his seat. He asked about the destroyed ships. 87 vessels destroyed. Was that a proportional response? Claire's answer was direct. The alien fleet numbered over 100 ships. They came to conquer, not to enforce a quarantine. Humans gave them chances to retreat. The aliens continued their attack. Earth did what was necessary to survive. Then Claire changed her approach. She said humans were not here to debate the past. They were here to discuss the future. Humanity was willing to join the galactic community, but not as slaves, not as inferiors. They would join as equals. They offered partnership based on mutual respect. General Tucker stepped forward. His military bearing made him look dangerous and capable. He explained humanity's position clearly. Accept us as partners and you gain strong allies. Reject us and we will defend ourselves with everything we have. We offer friendship to those who respect us. But we will fight anyone who threatens us. The chamber fell completely silent. No species had ever spoken to the council this way. Usually, primitive civilizations either surrendered immediately or were quickly conquered. The humans offered a third option: coexistence between equals. The council did not know how to respond. Scholar Lynthia spoke up. She projected warm and hopeful thoughts. She said this was an opportunity. The humans had proven they were formidable fighters. Imagine having them as allies instead of enemies. Their weapons and tactics could help protect the entire galaxy from threats. Zethryx argued against this. If every primitive species demanded equal treatment, there would be chaos. Order required hierarchy. The council led because they were superior. That was how civilization worked. Without clear leadership, the galaxy would fall apart. Claire challenged him directly. Then prove your superiority, she said. Not through force, but through wisdom. Show us why we should respect the council's authority. Earn our respect instead of demanding it. True leaders do not need to threaten. True leaders inspire others to follow willingly. The council called for a vote. This was historic. For the first time ever, the vote was not unanimous. Some species voted for immediate war. They wanted to crush the humans and restore the council's reputation. Other species voted for engagement. They saw potential in humanity. They wanted to try diplomacy. The deciding vote came from High Chancellor Vexmora. She pulsed with blue light as she spoke. The council would accept humanity into the galactic community, but there were conditions. Humans would have a voice but not a vote. They would be observed and evaluated. If they proved worthy, they might earn full membership someday. She also gave a warning. One wrong move by humanity and the council would respond with its full might. The entire galaxy would unite against Earth. This was a test. Humanity needed to prove they could be trusted, that they could be civilized, that they deserved to be part of the galactic community. Ambassador Claire Roberts considered the offer carefully. It was not perfect. Humans would not have equal standing immediately, but it was better than war. It gave humanity a chance to prove itself. She nodded slowly and accepted the terms, but she also gave her own warning. Respect works both ways, she said. Humans would prove themselves through actions. They would show the galaxy that they could be trusted. But the council also needed to prove itself. They needed to show that they deserved to lead, that they were fair and just. Humans would be watching the council just as closely as the council watched Earth. The agreement was made. Humanity joined the galactic community as junior members. It was not everything humans wanted, but it was a beginning. a chance to show the galaxy what humanity could become, a chance to change the ancient order of things. The meeting ended and the humans returned to their ship. As they left, Scholar Lynthia sent Claire a private message. She thanked the human ambassador for her courage. She said that maybe, just maybe, humans were exactly what the galaxy needed, someone to shake up the old ways, someone to remind the Council of principles it had forgotten. Change was coming to the galaxy, and humanity was going to be the catalyst. 6 months passed after the historic vote. Humanity's integration into galactic society moved faster than anyone expected. Earth's shipyards now built vessels that used both human and alien technology. Human railguns combined with alien shields, human engines mixed with alien sensors. These hybrid ships were better than anything either side could build alone. Human scientists worked alongside alien researchers. They shared knowledge that the Council had kept secret for millennia. Medical technology improved. Energy production became more efficient. Communication systems reached across vast distances instantly. Both sides learned from each other. Both sides became stronger. But not everyone was happy with these changes. In the shadows of the galaxy, whispers of rebellion grew. Many species had suffered under Council rule for centuries. They saw how humanity forced the Council to respect them. They wondered if they could do the same. Pirates, revolutionaries, and fringe groups began to unite. If humans could defy the Council, maybe others could too. Admiral Patrick Cole found himself in an unexpected position. He was now a mediator between humans and other species. The Council asked him to meet with leaders of the growing resistance movement. They hoped he could prevent a larger war. Cole agreed to the meeting. He met the resistance leaders in a secure chamber deep within the Council station. Captain Rinder led the free colonies. He was an insect-like alien with 4 arms. He spoke bluntly. His people wanted what humans had achieved: recognition, respect, the right to control their own destiny. He asked Cole to help them fight the Council's tyranny. Admiral Cole shook his head. He explained that humanity did not fight the Council because they wanted war. They fought because they were attacked first. There was a big difference between self-defense and rebellion. Starting a war was not the same as defending yourself. Rindar's mandibles clicked in frustration. He called this semantics, word games. The fact remained that humans were strong enough to challenge the Council. If they joined the resistance, together they could tear down the corrupt system. They could free everyone. Cole leaned forward and asked a simple question. Replace the Council with what? With chaos? With a dozen factions fighting for power? The Council might be flawed, but it had kept peace for 3,000 years. That achievement had real value. Destroying it would not automatically create something better. Another resistance leader joined the conversation. Tolmir was a crystalline being who sparkled when light hit him. He argued that the Council's peace was bought through subjugation. Smaller species were forced to obey. They had no real freedom. Humans showed that the Council could be defied. Why did humans now defend the system? Cole chose his words carefully. Change did not come through destruction, he explained. It came through evolution. The Council was already different than it was 6 months ago. They listened to new voices. They questioned old assumptions. They were learning to treat other species with respect. That was real progress. Violent revolution would erase that progress. The meeting ended without agreement. But Cole's words planted seeds of doubt in the resistance leaders. Maybe there was another way. Maybe violent overthrow was not the only path forward. They agreed to watch and wait, to see if the Council really would change. Meanwhile, on Earth, the impact of First Contact transformed human society completely. Artists created works inspired by alien cultures. Musicians blended human and alien instruments. Writers told stories about the galaxy. Literature and movies and games all changed. Humanity no longer looked at the stars with simple wonder. They looked with the confidence of a species that had earned its place. In a university in Geneva, Dr. Helen Wright taught classes to both humans and aliens. Her classroom was packed every day. She explained to her students that humanity's survival came from adaptability. Humans took old weapons and used them in new ways. They did not play by galactic rules because they did not know those rules existed. That ignorance became their strength. A young alien from the Calarian species raised a crystalline hand. He asked why humans showed mercy. After the battle, humans could have chased the fleeing ships and destroyed them all. Why did they stop? Why did they let the aliens escape? Dr. Wright smiled at the question. She explained that humans understood something fundamental about war. War was not about annihilation. It was about achieving objectives. Humanity's objective was to defend Earth. Once the alien fleet retreated, the threat was over. Chasing them would have been revenge, not strategy. Revenge felt good, but strategy won wars. This philosophy became humanity's greatest contribution to galactic culture. The concept of proportional response was revolutionary. Most galactic species knew only total war or complete submission. Humans showed there was a middle path. Fight when necessary, fight as hard as needed, but stop when the objective is achieved. Back on the council station, Ambassador Claire Roberts worked tirelessly. She helped formalize humanity's role in galactic society. She proposed new protocols for contacting primitive species. These protocols emphasized communication over confrontation. They required warning and explanation before any enforcement action. They prevented the kind of unprovoked attack that sparked the war with humanity. Scholar Lynthia became Claire's closest ally. Together, they drafted what became known as the Roberts Protocol. It was a framework for peaceful first contact. Other council members studied it carefully. Many agreed that it was a better way. Slowly, the council adopted these new procedures.
Ancient practices changed because humans suggested something better. One night during a late work session, Lynthia observed that humans were changing the council.
Making it better. She never thought she would see the council evolve in her lifetime. Claire corrected her gently. Humans were not changing the council. They were reminding the council of principles it once held. Every civilization started with ideals. Sometimes they just needed someone to show them what they had become. 1 year after the battle, the council held an unprecedented celebration. It was not a commemoration of war. It was a celebration of transformation. Human ships docked alongside Calarian vessels. Their crews mixed freely in orbital stations. Old enemies worked together on new projects. The galaxy was changing. Admiral Cole and Ambassador Zethrix worked together on military exercises. They created new combat doctrines that combined human and alien tactics. During the celebration, Zethrix approached Cole privately. His crystalline features reflected the starlight. He told Cole that he owed humans an apology. He had called them primitives. He was wrong. Humans were perhaps the most advanced species in wisdom, if not in technology. Cole extended his hand. It was a human gesture of respect that Zethrix had learned. They shook hands in front of cameras that broadcast the moment across the galaxy. Billions of beings from hundreds of species watched. It was pure symbolism, but symbols mattered. The old order was not destroyed. It was transformed. The council still existed, but it no longer ruled through fear. Secretary General Maria Santos gave the closing speech. She said today marked a new era. Not a human era, not a council era, but an era of cooperation. Humanity came to the stars expecting to explore. They found a community that needed to remember its better nature. Humans would always defend themselves, but they would always extend friendship first. That was humanity's promise. In the years that followed, the galaxy continued to transform. New species were welcomed properly. Old conflicts found peaceful solutions. Wars that had burned for centuries were finally resolved. The council implemented reforms inspired by human philosophy. Justice became more important than power. Humanity's fleet served as the council's rapid response force. When disasters struck, human ships arrived first. When pirates threatened trade, human vessels stopped them. When diplomatic crises erupted, human mediators helped solve them. Earth's military, built for desperate defense, became a force for peace and protection. The Endeavor was preserved as a monument. It floated in orbit around Earth as a permanent reminder. Jake Morrison, now retired, gave tours to young officers from many species. He always told them the same thing. Strength was not about weapons. It was about knowing when to fight and when to show mercy. Wisdom mattered more than firepower. The galaxy learned a profound lesson from humanity. True power came not from domination, but from the courage to defend what mattered. Earth's fierce retaliation had shocked the Council. But humanity's measured response inspired the Council to become better, to be wiser, to lead through example instead of fear. And in the vastness of space, among countless stars and infinite possibilities, a new era truly dawned. An era where strength and compassion walked together, where humanity's voice joined the ancient chorus of civilization, where the future burned bright with hope for all species. The galaxy had changed, and humanity had shown them the way.